Welcome to GBALL Vision, everyone. I hope you are having a fantastic day today. I know I am, and I sure hope you are too. So I just unboxed this knife the other day, and it's the Sparrow Knife Co. Strix, the version 1. I believe there either is a pre-order for a version 2 or it just ended. And if it ended, I missed out on both runs, and I'm hoping to catch one of them at some point on the secondary, or hopefully he does another run. So to get that out of the way, this was sent into the channel by Mikey Reese. Huge shout out to him. Thank you, brother. Uh, I've been carrying this around the house and, putting it in and out of the pocket, cutting some different lighter duty things, paper, cardboard, taking care of it. But I wanted to get a feel for this edge, the grind, the ergos, because I think I want to get this knife at some point. And if I'm going to, I want to make sure I really like this thing. And I really do. There's only two nitpicks that I could come up with on this guy in the short term for the first impressions. I feel not only to just talk about the appeal of the knife and how it looks, but on the blade, the ergos, the aesthetics, I can do a first impressions and feel comfortable about doing so. Because I haven't been able to put this knife down since I unboxed it. And this thing is extremely comfortable. It came with a nice edge. It's got an awesome grind to really disperse material around there. It's very slicey. Now, when we get into the full detailed specs of this, we'll go over the blade stock and the behind the edge and kind of dig a little deeper into this guy. Now, it is using M390 on the V1s. This has like a polished stonewash finish. It kind of reminds me of what Kaiser does. It looks really good. Uh, Typically, they take wear very good. It's like a stonewash, but almost like it's been polished or something. It looks good though. Nice blade shape for utility. The opening hole and front flipper are done very, very well. Detent is tuned very good. Could it be a little stronger? Yeah, I think it could be, but it's going to range, from 6 to 8 or 7 to 9 for the batch of knives. So some could be stronger than others. Is it strong enough? Yes. For my taste, could it be a touch stronger? Yeah, but it's perfectly fine where it is. The action is phenomenal. One thing that really helps this, if this just came straight down, without this hump here in the blade, the harpoon, whatever you want to say, uh, if it wasn't for that, the action would be completely different. Still might be very good, but it would be completely different. Because of that harpoon, this thing thwacks out of there like a tank. It just thwacks out. And then on the close, because of that extra weight, this thing is incredibly smooth. It basically is fall shut. If you give it just anything, it's going home. It's very smooth. It's very controlled. It's not that sloppy, cheap closing action. I believe Bestech is the OEM on this guy, designed by Greg Schaub. Did a phenomenal job on this design. You got bead blasted titanium bolsters here. This side is completely bead blasted. It is a frame lock, not a bolster lock. This would have been perfect as a bolster lock as well. Give us another inlay on this side, and he might have had versions like that. I don't know, but it would be definitely fit to be a bolster lock. I would have put an inlay on this side as well, come up to here, and you'd have an even better knife, in my opinion, just because I prefer bolster locks. But that doesn't take anything away from the knife. The first nitpick I have on this knife is I wish they would have went with a different steel, but in run 2, they're going with Magna Cut. So he changed that. It's not that M390 is bad. I'm just sick of seeing it. I'd take, anything else at this point. S90V is a perfect option. I don't know if they can get Magna Cut, Van X, and yeah, sure, the price might vary a little bit from one to the next, but not much, not enough difference to really make a difference, I don't think, when you're talking all them premium steels. I'm just a little tired of M390. It's still a great steel, but I'd love to see something else, and he's doing that. So perfect. LMAX, XHP, something, anything else. And we're also talking to Wee Knives also. Quit using 20CV. It is really annoying. Use anything else. The second nitpick, and it's very small, is I wish he would have brought the backspacer up to about here. I would take that tiny, tiny bit of weight for this guy and take the backspacer. 10 out of 10 times, I would take the little bit of weight and get the backspacer. There's definitely some more room in there where you could do some light milling, I think, and make the handle even lighter. But very small things, like I said, two small nitpicks, and they're very minor, very, very minor. We still have a geared backspacer. I just wish it would have come up a little higher. I think prolonged use of this knife, during a daytime, if you're really going to be using it, you're going to eventually feel that spine in the center of your hand. Eventually. Now, does this hurt? No. Is it uncomfortable? No. But I think at some point, you will start to feel that spine. It's the only spot on the knife that I can feel something, because otherwise it's extremely comfortable. That's it. So, bring that backspacer up to like half or like 60%, and you have just Magna Cut and a full length backspacer. Oh my goodness. And make it a bolster lock, which would be easy, I would think. Maybe not, but keeping it a frame lock's just fine as well. I like frame locks too, but bolster locks are just a little nicer, You don't got to worry about the lock bar as much, and I think they look a little cleaner. There's no denying it. It just looks a touch cleaner. You have a more minimal cutout for it's still a frame lock, but it's hidden. I don't know what the strength difference would be this thick of a lock bar up against something like that. I've often wondered that, but I still think even a thinner frame lock, which would be the bolster lock style, uh, they are naturally a little thinner. I think it would still be very, very strong. So those are two very minor nitpicks. This thing is absolutely phenomenal. I don't even count the bolster lock ordeal a nitpick. The knife is kind of what it is. It's a frame lock. It's a liner lock. So and I like all of them, but I really think this would benefit from being a bolster lock, just aesthetically. And, lefties would have a lot easier time using it if it was a bolster lock. Not mounted for left-hand carry. You have a nice 3D milled titanium clip, integrated lanyard hole in the tie backspacer. People have seen this knife before. I just figured I would throw my 2 cents in on it. Great access to the lock bar there and a massive chamfer. That's exactly what I want to see. Perfect. That right there, future knife designers, any knife designer that would ever watch this, That is how it's done. Right there. A frame lock like this. Chamfer that bad boy out nice, clean. Best Tech is one of the absolute best companies who finish a lock bar. You know, they chamfer it and they chamfer it so good that you don't even, it's so comfortable. It's ridiculous. I first learned that on the Thick Boy V1, and then I felt it on some Veros, and then the Thick Boy V2, and now this, and a lot of other Best Tech OEM knives and branded knives. They do a phenomenal job on those lock bars. But there's a reason this thing was ultra popular, and it's for good reason. This thing is very, very good. Very minor nitpicks or complaints, really. They're not complaints. I wouldn't even call them nitpicks. I would just say changes that I would like to see. That would be how I would word that. Just something I prefer. Uh, Tons and tons of people are probably happy exactly the way it is. They wouldn't want the full length backspacer. They wouldn't want a bolster lock. You know, they would want M390, whatever. We all have our own tastes, but they're just my criticisms that I figure I would point out for whoever watches. But I would I would have no hesitation going and buying this knife. I will probably wait for the Magna Cut one if I can get one of them. But this would be just as good, you know, especially if you're someone who doesn't have a ton of M390, you know, you're fairly new, or maybe you're not new, but you don't have much M390. If you don't have many knives in M390, then it's what I said about the steel is irrelevant to you, does not matter. But someone like me, I have 30 knives in M390, not 20 CV and 204P, but just M390. So I have some people's collection in M390, and I'm sick of it. I still buy them if the design is really, you know, I need to have it, but I prefer to have something else, anything really. But you know, if you get a version one and you can get it under the retail price, you know, or at the retail price or around there, the 340 mark, 350, depending on the version. I think the base one was like 340, and then they went up from there. But do I see a $400 knife here? Yeah, eh, yeah, I do. 375, I think. 350 to 375. But it is a Best Tech OEM, so they're going to be a little more expensive. Uh, I can see it, especially if they change that steel. You know, I can see it then. Probably at 375, it's about 25 bucks to 50, about 25 bucks overpriced. 350, I think. You know, if EMP EDC can put out the incredible designs in Magna Cut and milled tie, and you know, and he can do them for between 3 and 350. Uh, I think that's where a lot of companies should be at. If you start getting over that, there better be a good reason why. A very good reason, not just because it has good action or something. Uh, but yeah, I see the value in this, and I would not hesitate 1 second to grab this thing, even in the M390. Most people would never know. It's just my personal preference at this point. But you have an exceptional knife here, and we will be digging into this thing a lot more because I plan on really giving a full in-depth look at this thing, going over it, because I plan on buying one. And if I plan on buying one, I want to really know that I like it, that I want to carry it, you know, that sort of thing. So it's perfect to have this in on loan. I can make a good decision. But that'll do it up, guys. Give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button down below or click the GBALL Vision logo there on the center of your screen. I'll throw up 2 new videos right here and here. I definitely recommend going and checking out this one right here. Otherwise, guys, I will catch you on the next one.